Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on, everybody? This is Joseph Conlon here tonight with your AEW St. Patrick's Day Slam review on Wednesday, March 17th, 2021. I just want to first off say to those who do celebrate the holiday, happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you out there who celebrate the holiday with your family. Just want to wish you all a happy St. Patrick's Day. As you guys can see, I got my green on for tonight for St. Patrick's Day and St. Patrick's Day Slam, which we also celebrated tonight. And what a way to end off my St. Patrick's Day, man. What a show by AEW. Going into the main event, I thought this was a good show. It was a good show. I would have said like maybe a 7 or an 8 out of 10, but man, that main event, which we're going to have a lot to talk about, that was, in my opinion, an amazing lights-out match. And kudos to Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, man, because those are two women who are not afraid to put their body on the line. And that's just noise going in the background, by the way, guys. What was I going to say? I lost my line. Oh, those are two women that are not afraid to break a nail. So that's just a ringtone in the back for my grandmother's iPad. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome my co-hosts for your Wednesday nights, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, Wesley Williams is back. Wednesday Night Dynamite. Dude, how are you?
Dude, I am phenomenal, especially after that main event, which we will talk about. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, my friend, and happy St. Patrick's Day to all you lovely viewers out there that took time out of your day, evening, whenever you're watching this, to watch us talk about AEW Dynamite, talk about St. Patrick's Day Slam. Thank you all very much. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to us. I saw those numbers last week. We got 21 likes on the review, more likes than the week before, so I love to see it. Let's keep those numbers rising, people. But hey, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite, the best pro wrestling show every single week, and I cannot wait to talk about what was a great night of pro wrestling. Once again, with my good friend Joseph here. Let's talk about it, brother.
Yes, sir, man. We got a lot to talk about, just like the past 2 weeks. Can't wait to dive into it. I feel like it's when we started doing the Wednesday night co-host thing, since March 3rd, the Dynamite shows, all of them have been great. The week prior, leading up to Revolution, was a great show. Last week was a great show. And tonight, I thought, was another great show by AEW.
Just keep them coming, man. It's just, I think it's a good luck charm, you know. Lucky Charms, it's a big theme for today, too. I think we're probably a good luck charm for AEW, and it's just vice versa. It just floats back and forth, you know, and I think that it's a recipe for success, man. And I'm loving what AEW's been producing these last few weeks, man. And it's just going to keep getting better and better as the weeks go on, as we get into Double or Nothing on May 30th. And man, I just cannot wait to talk about all the action that ensued tonight, man.
Well, let's dive into it, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we started off the show tonight with Cody Rhodes versus Penta El Zelomero in a singles match, coming off their confrontation last week. They had a very good match to open up the show. Fighting on the outside, Penta, his thigh kicks, like kicking the thigh of Cody Rhodes, who Penta's kicks look absolutely brutal. He went after the arm, of course, during the match. Cody, then at one point of the match, Cody hit a destroyer. Penta hit a destroyer on him at Revolution. Onto a ladder, Cody got the revenge tonight with hitting his own destroyer. I don't think I've ever seen Cody Rhodes hit a Canadian destroyer before. Have you?
I don't think I've ever seen it before, but it looked wonderful. I know I've seen Dustin hit it, and it's wild that Dustin Rhodes can hit it of all people. But seeing Cody hit it was really nice. He knows how to hit a destroyer.
Yeah, but we're going to get to the end of the match. Cody went for the crossroads, and Penta kicked out. Penta then grabbed the arm, went for a submission. He yanked the arm back. He was showboating at Arn Anderson. Oh, I snatched Cody's arm. Cody rolls up Penta, and as much as this match was really good, as much as the match was good, in my opinion, I know you got the same too, the wrong guy went over tonight, in my opinion. Cody Rhodes got the victory in this match, and then after the match, Penta went to attack Cody's arm. Arn Anderson was about to get in the ring until Dustin and the Gun Club got in the ring to run off Penta. Penta then got on the stage, and then QT Marshall just appears out of nowhere, and the Nightmare Family is like, you're a little bit late there, QT. So that was the opening match. Penta did not get the win. My hopes are that this feud continues the next coming weeks. They have a rematch whenever on Dynamite. Penta gets that win, because in my opinion, if you're not going to continue the feud and you're going to end it with Cody Rhodes getting the win, I don't know how to feel about that. What about you?
Yeah, I agree with Joe. So I was disappointed in the result tonight too. But if this does mean we are getting a second or third match, even between Penta and Cody, then I guess I won't be as disappointed, because if it means Penta's going to get a win back, then okay. But yeah, I'm hoping this isn't the end. These guys produced a great match tonight. I want to say that. And also, I think they did a good job of making Penta look resilient in the match against Cody. He kicked out a lot of Cody's big moves. So I think that's a big plus there. Yes, Pentagon didn't win the match, which is disappointing. And I hope this doesn't end here. Agreeing with your opinion there, Joseph. And I hope they honestly do continue this into a second, maybe even third match. I don't know if they drag it out to as far as Double or Nothing. I mean, we're a long ways away from Double or Nothing. We got literally like almost 3 months, or a little less than 3 months until we get to Double or Nothing on May 30th. But this was a great way to open up Dynamite. Disappointed in the result, but we'll see where this goes from here. They're also suddenly teasing the heel turn of QT Marshall. They've been doing that for quite some time now. And it's very interesting going on there with QT Marshall and the Nightmare Family and what might go on there. But great way to start off Dynamite. Disappointing results, but we'll see where this goes from here.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that the feud continues and Penta gets his win back from Cody Rhodes. But then after that, we had Jade Cargill in singles action against Danny Jordan. And this was a successful squash match. Jade looked very good in this squash match for the 2 minutes that she got. She was like, this is my competition, like making fun of Danny Jordan. She hits her with the Grand Slam and gets the win. After the match, she gets in the face of Red Velvet. Red Velvet's trying to fight back, and Jade wants to fight, but the referee, I think it was Remsburg, pushed off Jade and said, not tonight. So looks like we could be heading for a singles match between Jade Cargill and Red Velvet. But really quickly, what did you think about this singles match?
I thought this was, like you said, it was a very, very successful squash match. Jade looked great in there. I'm somebody, for one, who has been very critical of Jade Cargill heading into that mixed tag match with Shaquille O'Neal and with Red Velvet and Cody, just because we really haven't seen anything from her in ring-wise. And, that first initial promo she cut against Cody, I wasn't feeling it at all. I thought it sounded really off, and I just wasn't all that high on her. Now, granted, she does look great. She definitely has a great physique. She definitely looks the part of a pro wrestler. But, I wasn't completely sold on her. Now I'm starting to get a little bit more sold on her now that I've seen more of her in-ring work. And this was her first singles match, her singles debut on Dynamite. And I thought she looked very, very good. It was very brief, only a few moves. But a big highlight was that release German suplex she hit on Danny Jordan, where she just folded her like an accordion. I mean, it looked brutal. So I give Jade some props. I think given it another 2 to 3 years, I think she will really mold herself into the top woman in AEW. But yeah, it looks like we are heading down the route of Jade Cargill and Red Velvet, which I'm not against. I'm a big fan of Red Velvet. I think she's got tons of potential, and they looked very good when they were in the ring together in that mixed tag. So it's going to be interesting to see what they'll look like in a singles capacity.
Absolutely, but Jade Cargill gets the win, and the next thing we are going to talk about outside the main event, this was probably my favorite thing on the show. I'm going to have a lot to say about this. We had MJF come out with his new faction. They are now called the Pinnacle. I love it. It makes a lot of sense. and I'll get to that why in a little bit. But he comes out with his new faction. Tully Blanchard gets the microphone first, and he says, "This is the new top dogs in AEW." Once MJF grabbed one of the greats of all time, Chris Jericho's bat, and hit him over the head and made his mark as he is not the guy who's leading the top faction in AEW. It is indeed MJF. And MJF gets the microphone. He cuts a phenomenal promo, as always. It's ridiculous. To me, it's ridiculous that MJF, this guy is 24 or 25 years old, and he is up there for the best promo in the business. I'm not even going to say in AEW, in the entire business. I think it's ridiculous how good he is on the microphone. He's good in the ring, but what gets him to the top is his great heel work and the way he speaks on the microphone. But he grabs the microphone, he talks about all the members of the inner circle and how his plan worked with getting tension and getting Sammy Guevara away from Chris Jericho as far as possible, and Santana and Ortiz, and like never believing in them and never believing in Jake Hager. And then he broke down Mr. Mayhem, Wardlow, and the chairman, Shawn Spears, who is the most underutilized guy on the roster, but not anymore. And he's going to prove to you why he deserved to be in the main event picture this entire time. And then FTR, the greatest tag team, the only Grand Slam tag team in professional wrestling, holding the AEW tag team titles, the NXT tag team titles, and the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. I believe that's what he was saying. And he says, "We are the pinnacle, and I want to take and now's the pinnacle. We do what we want, when we want, and right now we're going to take the inner circle locker room." And he says finally to Chris Jericho, "I am better than you, and you know it." This was fantastic, dude. This was fantastic by MJF. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And the Pinnacle are getting their debut match next week on Dynamite in a 6-man. It is going to be FTR and Shawn Spears against the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin of Top Flight. So what are your thoughts on this segment with MJF and the new faction, the Pinnacle?
Joseph, this is what I like to call a grade A plus segment. This was perfect. There was no flaw whatsoever within the segment. MJF is a master upon all masters of promos. The dude has so much going for him at such a young age. The guy's just barely older than I am. And the fact that he's this good now, you know, he's not wrong when he's saying 25 plus years from now, he's still going to be there. I wouldn't be surprised, because that's how good he is. I mean, this was absolutely phenomenal in every way. I love this new faction. I love the name, Pinnacle. You know, I agree with you, Joseph. I love that name. It fits. It fits very well. It fits like a glove. And I just love this whole combination here. And, you know, when MJF was running down the lineup, and even when they were showing the clip from earlier today where they were getting off that private jet dressed up in their nice suits and their nice blazers, it reminded me a lot of another faction, Evolution. Evolution was the same way. They styled, they profiled, they came out in the nice suits, and you had the past, present, future. Yeah. I mean, it has all those elements just mixed into one. You know, Evolution, you know, when Triple H first introduced Evolution back in 2002, he ran down the lineup just like MJF did tonight with his lineup. And so that's what it reminded me of. It gave me vibes of that. And I really like that, because Evolution is by far one of the best factions in pro wrestling history. And I just love the old school feel to this too. It definitely has an old school look to it. I mean, especially with FTR being all about the old school as a tag team. You got Shawn Spears, he's a veteran wrestler, and then you got MJF, who has that old school to him as well. You know, it's beautiful seeing with Tully being the manager in this operation, just makes it that much better. This was a phenomenal segment. I cannot wait to see where this goes. I'm really holding out hope we get Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle and Blood and Guts at Double or Nothing. I feel like we're heading towards that way, and I really hope that's what we get, because this is absolutely amazing. When the Inner Circle eventually do make their return to Dynamite and they get back on the attack on the Pinnacle, it's going to be so sweet, man. And we got the debut next week, Sean Spears FTR versus Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin. Should be a great one. I'm looking forward to see how that meshes, and I'm loving this, man. But other than the main event, this was my favorite, like one of my favorite parts of the show tonight.
Now, with the 6-man happening next week with the Pinnacle, you brung up the Inner Circle coming back and getting their revenge on the Pinnacle. Would you bring back the Inner Circle next week, or is it too early for them to come back? Would you wait until April or even mid-April to bring back the Inner Circle?
I'd wait a little bit. I think bringing them back next week would be too soon. I don't think that would be right. I feel like waiting it out for at least a few more weeks, like you had mentioned, middle of April, maybe into April, something like that. I think that would be a good point for the Inner Circle to make their return and to make their big revenge spot over the Pinnacle, and we can finally get set up with Blood and Guts, hopefully at Double or Nothing on May 30th.
Because I'm telling you, man, when the Inner Circle come back, and they come back to attack the Pinnacle, I'm hoping it's going to be on a live show. I mean, that crowd should erupt, I think, when Jericho's music hits and all 5 members of the Inner Circle are coming down to get their revenge. That's going to be a great moment. And then setting up for Blood and Guts, it fits like a glove, man. And the last thing I want to say about it might be too early. We could be talking about this in a couple weeks, a couple months before Double or Nothing. If you have a good enough build for this match and everybody's invested in it, everybody wants to see what happens next, would you main event your next pay-per-view with the Blood and Guts match?
It's a really good question. Usually you want to put the world title on last when it comes to pay-per-view, but I believe we did see back at Full Gear in 2019, I believe it was Omega and Moxley in their unsanctioned match. That did main event the show, not the world title. So they did do it in that event, that instance particularly. Now, would you do it here? I would say I wouldn't be against it. I'd say with a match that we were promised last year, and of course we didn't get it due to unforeseen circumstances, but now that we could possibly be getting it this year, I'd say, pull the trigger. I wouldn't mind it. I don't think it would be a terrible idea. I think a match that big between the 2 biggest factions in AEW, I'd say it calls for a main event spot.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens in the next couple months. But after that, we had a 10-man tag between Matt Hardy, Private Party, The Butcher and the Blade against Jurassic Express and Bear Country, man. Let me tell you, those boys, they are huge. I don't know about you, man, but the Bear Country, there are some big boys, man. So,
let me tell you, man, I love me some Bear Country. I've been watching them on AEW Dark, and they are fantastic. I think they got a bright future ahead of them. I don't know if they are officially signed with AEW or if they're on the verge of signing with AEW, but AEW should definitely pick these 2 up. They are a great big man tag team. I think they can be a force to be reckoned with in the tag team division, the already stacked tag team division that AEW has already put together. Bear Country is amazing. I'm a big fan of these guys, and I think they could be a great tandem in the tag team division, and I love their work up to this point. I love their tag team maneuvers, and I hope we get to see more of them as the weeks go on.
Yeah, we're going to get to the match. It was fun for what it was. Nothing too crazy. We're going to get right to the ending here. So, Bear Country and Jurassic Express, they had a little argument on their side of the corner, and Marco Stunt tags himself into the match. He has an exchange with Private Party. Right after that, Matt Hardy, he attacks Marco Stunt. He beats him down, and then Private Party hit Jitter Juice. Matt Hardy gets the tag from Private Party, hits Twist of Fate, which Marco Stunt sold beautifully. I think he sold that pretty good. and Matt Hardy got the win for his new faction of the Matt Hardy Empire with Private Party, the Butcher, and the Blade. Now, I don't know how long that faction is going to turn out to be for. I don't know how that long, but Matt Hardy got the win for his guys here. Where do we head next with this Matt Hardy storyline? Honestly, I don't know, but looks like we could be heading for a Jurassic Express Bear Country match, and if it doesn't happen next week, I expect it to happen the next couple weeks on Dynamite. So, fun 10-man tag. What do you think about all of this that happened, Mr. Williams?
I thought this was a pretty good 10-man tag. Nothing too much to it. It was kind of standard, but at the same time, it was a good match. I think the biggest highlight coming out of this match is the fact that Marco's son almost died when Bear Country launched him over the top rope onto Butcher, Blade, Private Party. They're very thankful. I think
I remember
that Marco's son is still alive after tonight, because that was scary.
Yeah.
I'd say that was probably the biggest moment in that match for sure. But Marco did get a lot of time in this match. He got a lot of time to put up the dukes against Matt Hardy and his boys. But Matt Hardy and the Empire get their win here. I'm not sure where they go from here, along with you, Joseph. I'm not really sure where they go next with this. I don't know if the whole thing with Hangman and the Dark Order is still going on. I guess maybe they kind of moved past that, since Hangman did win the match against Matt Hardy Revolution. So I'm not really sure where this is all heading, but I certainly don't mind the combination of Butcher, Blade, and Private Party. I mean, those are two world-class tag teams coming together with the creative mind of Matt Hardy. So we'll see where this goes. But I agree with you. I think Jurassic Express and Bear Country will probably be having a tag team match coming up here pretty soon, since we saw all this dissension happening between them in this match. But that should be a really fun tag team match there. But pretty good tag team match. Nothing much to it. Matt Hardy's Empire are victorious.
Next up, we had Dasha Gonzalez speak to Christian Cage backstage, and Christian was asked, why are you here in AEW? Christian then brought up Kenny Omega last week, and that he will get to Kenny Omega someday. But before he has to do that, this is a key point, folks. Christian said that he wanted to work his way up, and he wanted to win matches before he eventually got to Kenny Omega. I think that took people back from what they said about Christian last week in getting a match with Kenny Omega compared to this week. So if Christian, and I was one of those people that kind of criticized it, you remember that from last week. And if Christian is going to win matches, be built up, and all that, I'm fine with a Christian Cage Kenny Omega match. Now, does it happen at Double or Nothing? I'm going to go out there and say yes, that the match will happen at Double or Nothing. But then Christian Cage says he came to AEW because he wanted to write his legacy. He wanted to finish off his 40s. At 47 years old, he still wants people to remember that he is one of the best in the wrestling business to do it right now and in the past. And his 3 simple words that he wants to do in AEW is outwork everybody. So I thought this was very simple. Whoops, knocked over the microphone. Very simple and very effective by Christian Cage here. What do you think about it, man?
I really liked it. The biggest point for me in this segment was the fact that Christian Cage had brought up that he needs to earn his way to the world title before he can even challenge for it. I really like that he brought that up, and now it puts a lot of wrestling fans at ease now, because like you had mentioned, like you yourself and some other people in the community were very critical about Christian Cage already confronting Kenny Omega, the world champion. And see, I was on here last week mentioning how I was a bit more optimistic about it, because I didn't think that they were going to go ahead and just pull the trigger right away. Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega, let's get it out of the way like next week. I didn't think they were going to go ahead and go full throttle with that. I was thinking, we got a long time from now until Double or Nothing on May 30th. So this would be a great time to go ahead and build up some wins for Christian Cage, because otherwise you're making the ranking system look irrelevant. Because if you're just going to give Christian Cage a world title shot when he's hadn't even competed in a single match in AEW yet, it's really unfair. And I'm really happy AEW's not going down that route. They never should go down that route with anybody. But yeah, this was a very solid interview segment, very simple, like you said, Joseph. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Christian Cage in AEW. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. Very happy that he's back in pro wrestling, and I think we could very well be getting Christian Cage and Kenny Omega somewhere down the line, whether it is at Double or Nothing, or maybe it's sooner, or maybe it's later. But yeah, I think building up some credible wins for Christian is definitely the right way to go with them, and don't just automatically give anybody a world title shot.
Yeah, and he talks about wanting to work out everybody. Like some potential, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, some of the matches I would like to see Christian have in AEW. First name that came to my mind just now, Pac. I would love to see a match between Christian and Pac. You got a lot of guys, really. Scorpio Sky, Darby Allin, Ray Phoenix. Talk about workhorse. Christian said he is the workhorse. I would have to say that's Ray Phoenix, dude.
Yeah, I don't think many people will argue with you on that one, man. Ray Phoenix is a phenomenal talent, and undoubtedly a future world champion.
We'll get to him later on with his match, but we're going to move on to Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus the Good Brothers. When the Good Brothers attacked Kingston before the match had started, Moxley came down. They had a big brawl outside the ring. The match hasn't even started. Moxley and Kingston are getting thrown to the barricade side. Eddie Kingston, it was Moxley that took a magic killer onto the outside by the Good Brothers. Eddie Kingston was in the ring. The match had started. I thought this was a very good tag team match. The Good Brothers, in my opinion, they are a very good tag team who, by the way, they lost their Impact Tag Team Championships to Juice Robinson and David Finlay this past Saturday. I did not watch the show, but I did want to bring that up because I thought that was very important that a New Japan tag team now has the Impact Tag Team Championships, and it could be possibilities. And what I mean by that is you could have Impact tag teams go down to New Japan. And I think the bigger picture, when Kenny Omega wins that Impact World Championship, which is going to happen, he is not losing to Rich Swann. I don't see that happening. You're going to have Impact guys hopefully come on over to AEW and try to take that championship from Kenny Omega every single week. So I want to get your thoughts before we finish talking about this match leading into the post-match attack. I want to get your thoughts on Juice Robinson and David Finlay winning the tag team titles from the Good Brothers this weekend.
It's definitely very interesting. Juice Robinson and David Finlay are a great tag team in their own right. The fact that the New Japan tag team had won the Impact tag titles, it's very interesting, and especially knowing now AEW's relationships with both New Japan and Impact. Now, I do know, I did hear tonight, I think it was either tonight or last night, that they did announce a rematch for Finn Juice to face the Good Brothers for the Impact World Tag Team titles. It's a rematch for the Good Brothers at the Rebellion pay-per-view, where Kenny Omega will be defending the AEW World title against Rich Swann, where he will be defending his Impact Unified Championship. So it's going to be interesting to see. You know, we got three members of the Elite. They're competing on Impact's pay-per-view. Will the Good Brothers regain the tag titles, and will Omega become, the belt collector? It's going to be very interesting coming up here, going into Impact's next huge pay-per-view with Rebellion. But yeah, I thought it was a very interesting decision to have the Good Brothers drop the titles to Finn Juice. Now the question is, will they regain them? We'll have to see going forward. But it's definitely a very interesting scenario right now, and I'm intrigued to see how all this plays out, how this will affect anything when it comes to AEW, Impact, New Japan, how all of this will collide together.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. Should be very interesting to see what happens to that match at Rebellion. But as for the tag team match tonight, we had Moxley get the roll-up win on Carl Anderson. I don't know how to feel about the roll-up victory. I guess it protected Anderson and the Good Brothers just because they're such a good tag team. You want to protect them a little bit even if they're not the champions. So Moxley got the roll-up victory. After the match, that's the bigger deal in this. After the match, the Good Brothers continued to attack Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Omega comes out. He struts his way out there. He's very swag with Kenny Omega. He has a steel chair. He hits Moxley with it a couple times, and then he, what do you call it? They put the steel chair onto Eddie Kingston, and they have Gallows stomp the chair on Eddie Kingston's ankle. So Eddie Kingston's done from this segment. He's selling the ankle injury. They then put the chair on they put the chair on the head of Moxley, and the Young Bucks come out to make the save, and they stopped it from all this. They're yelling at Kenny. They're yelling at the Good Brothers. We got a huge argument. You get Don Callis involved in there. Then the Good Brothers and Kenny put up the Too Sweet, and the last time they did that, the Young Bucks joined in and did the Too Sweet. This time, the Young Bucks denied the Too Sweet and they walked away. So, are we getting a tag team match in the future between the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks? It's It's looking like it. But what are your thoughts about that? And while you give your thoughts, I got to turn my heater back on because it just turned off. So take it away while I turn on my heater real quick.
All right. So my thoughts on this whole situation when it comes to the Young Bucks and the Elite, it's very interesting. The Young Bucks, of course, they joined in on the Too Sweet the last time with Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. This time they denied it because they're seeing right through everything that's going on with Omega, with Callis, with the Good Brothers. They're doing things in the ways that the Young Bucks wouldn't. The Young Bucks, of course, are the baby faces here. You got Omega, Good Brothers, and Callis who are the heels. So, it's very interesting here playing out. And then you got, of course, you got Maxley and Kingston involved in this too. Now, I've seen a couple points brought up tonight about maybe we're going to get Kingston versus Omega in a World Championship match, which I would not be upset about at all. The promo work especially would be off the charts. But we'll see what happens with that. I'm still loving the duo with Moxley and Kingston. Now, Kingston, his ankle was taken out tonight, so that should mean that he should be off at the sidelines for a little bit. Now, something that could happen with Kingston on the sideline for just a little bit, we could very well see a big six-man tag where Moxley teams up with the Young Bucks, and they can go up against Omega and the Good Brothers. What do you think about that?
I mean, if they have a themed Dynamite show, like leading into Double or Nothing, I mean, dude, I'm all in for that.
Yeah.
I'm totally in for that, but my worry about that is, are we going to continue the Moxley and Omega feud? Like, is Moxley still in this World Championship picture with Kenny Omega? Do you see him getting another match or no?
Well, it's weird because I think that, of course, we all know what happened at the end of Revolution and it didn't go off well. I feel like we originally were supposed to get Moxley written off television for quite a while with the whole explosion. That did not come. But I think since that happened, AEW is kind of calling an audible here, and they're kind of just trying to go a different route with things. I don't know if I'm not really sure right now if they're really going to push Moxley and Kingston to the tag team or if Moxley's still going to get another match against Omega for the world title. I kind of feel like it really shouldn't happen again. I feel like, we've already gotten past that point. We should move Omega on to something else. But I wouldn't mind, exactly if Moxley and Kingston still continue to feud with the Good Brothers. But with Good Brothers not being the Impact Tag Champions anymore, they don't really have any gold to, show around. It's kind of a weird situation. I'm not really sure where they really go with it. But, if there's anything, I trust AEW for whatever they do. They don't let me down. They let me down hardly. It's very rare that they really, really let me down because I've grown to really trust AEW, to trust Tony Khan with how they do this. And I think so far, up to this point, they've done a pretty solid job of trying to, keep this storyline going in a, logical sense and in a way where it's like it keeps the wrestling fans still intrigued. So it's weird, but we'll see how it goes going forward.
Yeah, I totally agree. So we're going to move on to the next segment, which was a Sting interview with Tony Schiavone. Now, a lot of people went into this and was like, oh, another Sting interview with Tony Schiavone. I thought the same way. But this turned out to be great, in my opinion. Wesley, 3 different things, 3 different stories happened in this segment, in one segment. That's awesome, in my opinion. First, you have Darby Allin out there with Sting. He snatches the microphone from Schiavone. He's like, since I won the TNT Championship on November 7th at Full Gear, I've only defended the championship 3 times. And he considers that a joke and not being a real champion. And he says now that he's done with Team Taz and all that stuff and that's all over, he wants to be a fighting champion and he wants to defend the championship as much as possible. And then he challenges a member of the Dark Order to step up and challenge him for the TNT Championship next week. I think we all knew this was going to be John Silver taking the match against Darby. I could not have seen anybody else from that group taking the match, and we are indeed getting John Silver versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship next week on Dynamite. That is a match I'm very much looking forward to. That's probably going to be a physical, hard, a great match between John Silver and Darby Allin. I can't wait for that. Part two of this segment was Lance Archer and Jake the Snake Roberts. They walked out again, and they're like, oh, we're taking up your time, or we don't give a damn about taking your time. And he talks about Darby Allin, and he says, you're the biggest, like, indie riff. What do you remember what he called Darby Allin?
He called him like an indie-rific wrestler, something like that.
Yeah, he called him an indie-rific wrestler, and that he would put him in a coffin and take the TNT Championship. That was amazing. And then he went to Jake the Snake, took the microphone and talked to Sting. He's like, you don't want to get in the way of Lance Archer, as old as you are. I'm telling you, from what I know, we've known each other for a very long time. You don't want to get in the way of Lance Archer. So a lot of people are saying this is going to start a rivalry between Lance Archer and Darby Allin. For me, it's looking like Lance Archer and Sting. I don't know about that. We'll talk about it after the segment. But the kicker and the final part of this segment is Team Taz comes out. Taz has the microphone. Brian Cage snatches the microphone from Taz, and he gets in Sting's face, and he says, I'm not here to talk to you, Darby Allin. I'm here to talk to Sting. And he says, for months we've been going at each other's throats with the street fight and me losing to Darby and fight and dragging Darby and all that stuff. For all these months, Sting, I respect you. So Brian Cage says that he respects Sting, and then he says, Ricky Starks was wrong. And this is what got me. I laughed a little bit at this because he's like ratting out Ricky Starks a little bit. And he's like, Ricky Starks was wrong all along. Even without the baseball bat, Sting, you are still the icon. And then the whole group flips out. Oh, what is wrong with you, dude? Why would you say that to him? What are you thinking? And then Brian Cage just walks right past them and walks out of the tunnel. So we are looking at a breakup between Brian Cage and Team Taz. Don't know how to feel about that, but we got 3 things to talk about in this one segment. I gave all my stuff out. Now it's your turn to talk all about this, starting with Darby Allin and the Dark Order.
Well, I will say this, Darby Allin versus John Silver is going to slap. That is going to be an amazing match next week for the TNT title. That is going to be great. I love the fact that Darby paid homage to Brody Lee, greatest TNT champion of all time. That was awesome.
Yep.
And, I think this is a big spot here for John Silver to really shine against Darby. I mean, this match is going to be insane. And yeah, I'm looking forward. That's definitely I think the big match to really look out for next week's show. Now, when it comes to Lance Archer, Jake Roberts, this is a very interesting scene here because we seen Lance Archer interrupt Sting last week, and so now this week we got Sting and Darby both there. Lance Archer, he's got his eye on the TNT title. Now, I would certainly not mind seeing a Darby out Lance Archer match, that's for sure. So we could be heading down that route, or we could be getting Lance Archer versus Sting, which, I'm not sure how that would really play out. I think I brought up, when we talked about it last, that they could probably do a cinematic match in Lance Archer's neck of the woods, doing something like that, like how they did the Street Fight at Revolution in a cinematic match. So I'm not sure which route they're really going, if it's going to be Sting versus Archer, Darby versus Archer. We'll have to see in the coming weeks heading into Double or Nothing, but this definitely is very intriguing, and Lance Archer's looking like a monster, and that promo he cut tonight with Jake, I mean, it was great. And then the last whole thing here with Team Taz, I kind of thought when they came out we were just going to get another basic Team Taz interruption, like we've seen in the weeks prior, but no, Brian Cage seems to be turning a new leaf, and seems to not really want to be aligned so much with Taz and the rest of the boys, but so I'm not really sure what's going on there, but they might be heading towards a Brian Cage face turn, and he splits himself away from Team Taz, which it's weird. I'm not really sure how to feel about it either, but I think Brian Cage, he's definitely somebody that AEW wants to push. Because the dude is so great at what he does, and the fact that he can do what he can do at the size that he is, it's pretty unbelievable, man. And I think AEW right here has shown that they got some pretty big plans in mind for Brian Cage, and we'll have to see how that plays out. But we could very well be seeing the beginnings of a face turn.
Yeah, for me, I thought if anybody was going to break out of Team Taz and was going to, I tweeted this out right after the segment. If anybody from Team Taz was going to break out and go on by themselves, I thought the guy was going to be Ricky Starks. He is so charismatic. From what I know, people on Twitter love Ricky Starks. He could get over as a babyface. He has before in NWA, and the dude can cut a great promo on the microphone. Now, Brian Cage, he did cut a good promo. Brian Cage has been a babyface before. And we'll see how this goes down the line, but could we start to see now, with this happening tonight, is Taz going to show more favor to Powerhouse Hobbs? Could that be a possibility?
Yeah, that could very well be possible. I do know the Hobbs had a big match on AEW Dark Elevation, the new show on Monday. And so Hobbs actually was able to cut a promo standing alongside Hook before that match even took place. And there's actually a pretty solid promo on Powerhouse Hobbs' part. But, you got two big guys in a group like that. It's kind of hard to, push both, equally, or, push one guy over the other. It's kind of it's a weird scenario there. But we could very well see that happen. Team Taz could very well be showing more favor to Hobbs as the weeks go by, and then maybe this upsets Brian Cage more, and this creates more dissension, and maybe we'll end up seeing some sort of match between Hobbs and Brian Cage, big man versus big man. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens down the line. It should be interesting with this Team Taz breaking up, and Darby Allin and John Silver should be a great match next week. But really quickly, before we get into the main event, we had Rey Fenix versus Angelico. This was a short match. This was about a 7-minute match with Rey Fenix getting his victory. And for the match, it was very good in my opinion. So very good match. Rey Fenix got the win. And Rey Fenix, man, he has been on, in my opinion, man, you could say Kenny Omega. You could say Darby Allin for MVP, the Young Bucks of 2021. But if you're not throwing the name Rey Fenix in there, I think you're not with the game, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Rey Fenix, his star has really shone bright here so far in 2021, and it's only going to shine brighter. Rey Fenix is just amazing every time you watch him. I absolutely adore every time he's in the ring. I mean, he honestly, I mean, I don't know if you can really argue about him being the best luchador in the world. Now, I understand Rey Mysterio is still around, but Rey Mysterio isn't, prime anymore. He's still in phenomenal shape for his age. I will definitely give him that. Rey Mysterio, of course, is one of the best of all time. But Rey Fenix, man, I mean, as young as he is, and the way that he moves in the ring, the way that he performs in a wrestling ring is just unlike anything else you've ever really witnessed. And I really think big things are in store for him, particularly this year. I think AEW's got some big plans in store for him. And this match tonight with Angelico was a very good one. As short as it was very good. Angelico and Phoenix meshed very well together. I'm not sure if they've had many clashes with back when they were in Lucha Underground together, but I'm sure they probably collided at some point. But yeah, this was very good for what it was, and man, I'm just super excited still for Pac and Phoenix versus the Young Bucks for the tag titles whenever that match does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen later on in a couple weeks, maybe. But very quickly, next week's match is announced. We have Nyla Rose versus Ty Conti in a rematch from the women's tournament. They had a very good match, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. We have the 6-man that we talked about earlier with the Pinnacle, FTR, and Shawn Spears against Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin. John Silver versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship. And what I'm pretty sure is going to be the main event next week, we have Matt Sydal versus Kenny Omega. And if Sydal wins, he gets a World Championship match. So that is that for next week. And man, are you ready to talk about this Lights Out match?
Oh man, I was born ready to talk about this Lights Out match. Let's get into it.
Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa in a Lights Out match. They, from what I heard, people backstage in AEW were saying this was a classic match. Would you go that far as saying that? I'm going to ask you, would you go that far as saying that they had a classic tonight?
Man, I'm so high on that match tonight. I think I'd probably go as far as to say that. I know AEW wrestlers and I think other fans online were saying how great this match was. I tried my best to avoid spoilers, and I did a very good job at avoiding those spoilers because I know this was a pre-taped show. But yeah, I mean, it lived up to its word from what all the wrestlers and all the backstage people were talking about when it came to this match. I mean, it definitely lived up to the hype. And let me just go ahead and just air this out, man. This, in my opinion, was AEW's best women's match to this very point. These two women killed themselves tonight, and it was so fun to watch throughout. And this right here is just a prime example of what we need to see from women's wrestling. Not these beauty contests, not like these, women who are just tiptoeing around in the ring and afraid to break a nail. No, we need to see pure wrestling, pure brawling. I mean, this is just amazing. It's just an amazing example of what we need to see out of the women's division. And Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, man, I think they really shut a lot of people up who were probably doubting them, especially when it comes to Britt Baker, because I know she's had her doubters, and I think she shut a lot of them up tonight with this match against Thunder Rosa.
I'm going to take a fun jab here at the stands who will probably get angry at this, but you're absolutely right. We don't need to see women going around like, I don't know what you would say, afraid to break a nail. We don't need to see these Billy Kays. We don't need to see these Lacey Evans. We don't need to see these, I'm going to say, we don't need to see these Charlotte Flairs. I mean, these women.
No, yep. That's right. No, Charlotte Flair is overrated. How many people did I trigger just saying that? She's overrated.
Oh, man. But, man, these women absolutely killed each other. I'm going to try to go down for what happened in the match based off my memory. They started fighting on the outside immediately, and Britt Baker hit like a swinging DDT, and then she threw Rosa onto the outside, and Britt Baker, she hit a curb stomp onto Thunder Rosa onto the steel steps, and she busted Thunder Rosa open. So she had blood gushing off her head, like right on the top of her head, right next to her face paint. and then Britt Baker was hitting her with a steel chair like a bunch of times, and then Thunder Rosa would go back and hit steel chairs. And then they went to commercial break. I was pretty disappointed by that. I'm not going to lie. The one negative about this match is this is your first women's main event on Dynamite. We don't need a commercial, please. I understand, but I thought this match should have been no commercials. And that's just my opinion. But we're going to carry on with the match. We come back from break. We see all these chairs in the ring, and Britt Baker hits a suplex onto Thunder Rosa. She hits a suplex on the Thunder Rosa with all of the chairs laying in the middle of the ring. And then there's 2 tables set up on the outside. One near the babyface tunnel, maybe the babyface barricade, and the other to the middle of the barricade, like kind of between them. And then we have a ladder in the match. This is where all the fun and chaos and violence starts in the match. We see Thunder Rosa hit a kind of like a Dream Valley driver, it looks like, onto a ladder. She kind of slipped, but it looked okay from what I saw. She then set a ladder onto across from Britt Baker when Britt Baker was laying down at the corner. She hit a drop kick, and this busted Britt Baker up a lot, profusely. A lot of blood came out of Britt Baker, more than Thunder Rosa. And let me tell you, folks, Britt Baker looked like an absolute villain. She looked like the devil with all that blood coming down her face and her ears and in her mouth. It was a beautiful image. It was a beautiful image. But then at the end, Rebel grabs a bag for Britt Baker, and she pours out a pile of thumbtacks. Rosa sends Rebel through the table on the outside. Britt Baker's looking for the swinging DDT onto the thumbtacks. Rosa reverses it, power bombs Britt Baker onto the thumbtacks, and when Britt Baker gets up, you just see thumbtacks attached to the back of Britt Baker, which looked absolutely nasty. It looked nasty for what I saw. And then Britt Baker kicked out. Britt Baker put in the lockjaw. Thunder Rosa reversed it. Britt Baker kicked out at 2. Then Thunder Rosa, she sent Britt Baker through the table. It looked like a brain buster onto the outside through the table. And Thunder Rosa got the victory in this lights out match, which was, my God, an amazing match. That's all I'm going to say. Take it away, dude. It was an amazing match.
I mean, what else can you say, man? I mean, I already said it before, right before we got into the more details of this match. By far, AEW's best women's match up to this point. And look, this is strictly my opinion. I know some of you out there may not agree with me, but I have not seen an AEW women's match that just really went the distance like this match did. Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa deserved this main event spot, and especially after seeing this match now, they definitely deserved that main event spot. This was phenomenal. This was amazing. I love Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa both. Thunder Rosa for sure is my number one. I've let that be known before, man. She's my number one, and I'm still hoping she'll follow me on Twitter. I know I put out a tweet recently. Go ahead and shoot my shot. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. But she had to do that. I'm hoping. Maybe after I praise her match tonight, maybe it will happen. I don't know. I'm kind of holding out hope for it. But Britt Baker, she's definitely come into her own. Definitely turning her heel was the best career decision for her because she was honestly going nowhere as a babyface. And now that she has been heel for quite some time now and she's gotten better and better in the ring, I think she's really just come into her own. I think she's pretty much at the point now where, she's there. She's where she needs to be. And I think tonight really, really proved that. And this was just such an amazing way to end what was another great night of pro wrestling, man. I mean, I say it a lot. AEW is the best weekly pro wrestling show, and it's for a reason. It's
It truly is.
Because they give us quality entertainment every single week, which is more than what we could say about other companies. And it's just great to know that I can just come home from work on a Wednesday and turn on my television at 7 o'clock Central Time and just enjoy myself for 2 hours, get away from all the chaos in the world and just enjoy myself with pro wrestling from AEW, man. And
well, that's more like 3 hours because you come on here afterwards. So
that's true, and I love it. And that's a bonus. That's an added bonus right there. But man, it's just great. AEW has just really given me just a big platform to just talk about wrestling in such a fun manner, and I just haven't gotten to have that in so long because I just at one point became so disenchanted with the product. But man, AEW, they know how to give you pro wrestling on a big stage and with such great quality. And they're not perfect, no company ever is, and they slip up, and I'm going to criticize them when they slip up, but yeah. I'm going to tell you, man, I'm just thankful for them. People can call me a shill all they want, man. I'm proud to be an AEW fan. I'm proud to be all elite, man. This tonight really showed that.
Yeah, well said, brother. Well said. I am all elite with you as well. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming close up to an hour on the St. Patrick's Day Slam review. That is incredible, but we are going to get out of here tonight. Thank you guys for watching the review. If you have not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got a lot more content coming up for you this week. We got NXT tomorrow with my co-host for NXT, Cameron Johnson. That should be up around 4 o'clock tomorrow, I believe. I'll let you guys know on Twitter. And then Friday, we are going to have the Fastlane preview and predictions with Bonafide Heat. So that is going to be very cool to talk to him, talk about Fastlane. So that's on Friday. Saturday, we got the Big Fight Field podcast. And Sunday night, we are going to be back here on the channel reviewing Fastlane. So stay tuned for that. Comment down below what you guys thought about tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. Hit that like button if you have not. If you like what myself and Wesley had to say here on the review tonight. And follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. My man, where can they follow you on Twitter?
Oh, you already know. You can find me on Twitter at big_Wes18. That is lowercase, BIG_WES18. You already know. Me and Joseph got the best tweets, the best reviews going in the IWC. So make sure you follow Joseph. Make sure you follow me. And make sure you hit that like button. Let's keep those likes up. We got 15 that first week, 21 the next week. How about we do 30? I don't know, man. I mean,
that's stretching.
I would hope so. I think that's a goal. Maybe hit 30 or more. But we'll see, man. But I let folks keep those likes coming. Keep the subscriptions coming. Subscribe to us because we're giving you the best play-by-play AEW Dynamite analysis every single Wednesday night. You already know. And if you don't already know, well, you should. And I think you need to get caught up a little bit. So that's all I really got for you tonight. Joseph, this was fun. St. Patrick's Day Slam was a major hit. And I cannot wait to talk about Dynamite once again next Wednesday, brother.
We get to do it all over again. It's all fun. It's all fun, though. It's all good. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy.